Welcome to BunniPhish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as BunniPhish on Ravelry, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. Today is Thursday, the 2nd of May, 2019, and this is episode 39. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. How was your week? Ours was pretty good. I have started daily vlogging. I started on Monday. So for those of you who haven't been around for podcasts while I vlog, regular episodes tend to be shorter because while I am vlogging, I talk about daily life stuff, but also projects I'm working on. So I don't necessarily have a lot to say when I sit down with you once a week, but I do want to keep the normal weekly podcast because I know that some people don't watch vlogs. So the chaotic neutral knit along is taking place right now. Today is day 4. There are 20 days, I think. No, 20 days plus day 21 is like the finishing up, wrap up clues and stuff. So 21 days. And it is being released Monday through Friday every week. You get a clue. I am slightly behind because I am spinning I'm making it completely out of hand spun, and I have one yarn completely finished. I have about half of one yarn, so that'll take me a while. And then the third yarn I am kind of spinning on demand just because I haven't been feeling like spinning so much, but I do want to make the shawl out of hand spun. I won't be showing that on here at all until after the knit along closes, so you won't see that at all. If you want to see it, go check out the vlogs. The final frame of every day is my daily progress on the shawl that I am knitting for to go along with the knit along. I am currently behind because I did not have enough of my SC to finish yesterday's clue. I had probably 40 stitches to go. It's fine. I have the singles. I'm using a singles yarn for that one and holding it double. So I have the singles drying right now. It might take a while though because it's pretty humid today. It's not raining, but it's like spritzing. So whatever. I might be knitting with slightly damp yarn later today. It's fine. I have 3 finished projects to show you, all socks. 2 of them are shorties. Last week I had this first sock to here, so right through the gussets. So I just had to work down I had to start the gussets and work my way up. These are a modified Rose City roller. I used the pattern Concept, worked it toe up. So that is the first one. And then here is the second one, which is still slightly damp. And I haven't woven in the ends on it. I don't usually block them before I weave in the ends, but I guess I was just ready to block it. So here's the second one, and I was right at the toe last week. I just attached it. So I did all of that. It's just vanilla. It's good walking and work knitting because I work at the school as a lunch aide. So a lot of my time is spent just walking around helping students. I finished these socks. Did I have the heels in last week? No, I did the heels on Saturday. So I had this first like tube finished. It's not really a tube since they're shorties, but I had this first tube finished. So I worked this, I did these cuff down, right? Yeah, I did these cuff down. So I was here, worked down the toe, and then on Saturday I put in the first heel. So this I actually do have to talk about. I did a true afterthought heel, which means I had the tubes knit all the way, and then I cut the yarn. I didn't put waste yarn in for the afterthought heel. And then I know you can't see it. I know you can't because it's black yarn, but I did a fish lips kiss heel, and I'm wearing a black shirt. Was I wearing this exact thing last week, minus the hat? Different hat, probably same hoodie. I recall having an issue with trying to show you something black while wearing all black. This is a fish lips kiss heel, done afterthought, but you can kind of tell that it is not a straight, let's hold it over here against the wall. This is not a straight line. There's more depth here than here. That is because before I started doing the fish lips kiss heel, I did 4 rounds, but I worked straight on the sole of the foot and I worked short rows on the back of the heel. I had the back of the heel stitches on one needle and the sole foot heel stitches on another needle. So I went ahead and when I did the sole stitches just straight across the needle. But when I did the heel stitches for those 4 rounds, I worked to 1 stitch before the end of the needle, and then I twinned that, and then I purled back to the beginning of the needle to 1 stitch, twinned that stitch, and then knit all the way around until I got back to the beginning of the needle. So this one has 4 extra rounds before I started the fish lips kiss heel, and this has 12. And it makes a really well-fitting sock with the extra rounds. The fish lips kiss heel is a short row heel, and short row heels are pretty shallow, and I have a tall instep, so when I'm making socks for myself, if I remember, I will probably do some short rowing on the back of the heel before, if I'm working cuff down, before I start the fish lips kiss heel or after I finish it if I'm working toe up. And that's not a new idea for me. I actually did in the, what's that called? The Ridgeback socks. There are a few different places where there are short rows to give a little more length in the back of the sock. So I've been toying around with that idea, and now I've solidified that that's how I want to approach heels if I'm going to do a short row heel. Honestly, the best fitting heel for me is a heel flapping gusset because I can make that heel flap extra long. But I think this will be a good alternative to doing a heel flap and gusset. I like heel flaps and gussets, but I don't like them with all yarns because they change the pooling pattern on variegated yarns and they mess up the stripe sequence on striping yarns. So I like the fish lips kiss heel because it doesn't have those problems, but then it was too short in the back for me. Yeah, I was pretty pleased with myself. I didn't have any information about how to do that before I went ahead and tried it. So I'm pleased that it worked out and I didn't make a huge mess of my socks because I really, really like them. I don't actually have a pair of Knit Picks Felici socks, so I don't know how they wear. I've heard some people say that they're amazing, and I've heard some people say that they wear terribly, so I look forward to trying it on because I am now in shorty sock season. I kind of am all year round when I'm working, but on my days off, I don't wear shorties. Okay, so last step, this is the On the Hill socks by Lisa K. Ross, and these two well, this pair and that pair of socks are on thinner fingering weight, so I used a US size 0. This is Patton's Croy, which is a heavier fingering, almost a sport, so I used US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. Did I say those were zeros or ones? I meant zeros. Anyway, last week I was just below the cuff. These are worked cuff down. So I did the entire second sock, and I am glad that I went with the option of doing contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs. I used 35 grams of the contrasting color, which is Cascade colors, and the main body color is Cadet colors. I did not try to match up stripes at all because the Croy FX yarn has a irregular color change sequence, but I think that they turned out really, really well. The sock totals, the total weights for the sock is, I think it was like 120 grams. So definitely needed that contrast to make it work. I think this pattern is super well written. It is very easy. It's a nice texture that's not overly gendered. In the pattern, the pattern picture is like cotton candy colors, so it looks pretty girly, but obviously this is very manly in this color palette, so I really, really liked that. So now I've worked 3 of Lisa K. Ross's patterns. Definitely a designer whose sock patterns I will be checking out some more. I know she's done a lot of shawls and stuff. Shawls just aren't really my thing, but I really like her sock patterns, so I can definitely say that those are pretty fantastic. On to works in progress. I have been this whole time working on the trough pattern, which is my design, and it is a poncho cowl thing. Last week I was here. It doesn't look like a ton of work compared to this, but this is just, this is like the beginning of a shawl. So of course that triangle looks impressive compared to the rest. But now the rows are growing every round, so they are much longer. And even in the short row section, it's still growing in the center like a regular shawl. So every other round or row, the shawl grows, the cowl poncho thing grows. This is being made out of Cascade Cascade, I don't know. Hold on. Hold, please. Cascade Heritage Wave in 2 different colorways, or it will be 2 different colorways. I'm still on the first ball. I did end up cutting the yarn, as I said I probably would, to take the rest of this yarn and attach it to the center. I thought I was going to work on this yesterday at a movie, and then I didn't end up pulling it out because I worked on other things. But I wanted to keep the marled sections that looked the same together because this colorway is much darker than the other colorway that I'm using in the cowl shawl poncho thing. I anticipate this being significantly farther next week because I don't have a lot of other projects. I have the mystery knit along, the spinning for the mystery knit along, and then I only have one other active work in progress. This is the daughter sweater, the sweater for my daughter. It is the Eloise girl dress sweater, something like that. It's a free pattern. I made a baby version 2 months ago. So this is where I was last week. I did this much, not a ton of progress. I was working really diligently on it on the 30th, But then I realized that I don't have enough yarn for the sweater, which means I have to go buy another ball of yarn, which is fine, but it just crushed my motivation on it. So I will finish this soon. I would like my daughter to be able to wear it a couple days before it gets hot. It's starting out cool enough in the morning where she could wear it to school and then take it off. So this right here is, this marker is a third of the way around her waist, or a third with some fold over because the front folds over and buttons. So I'm probably about halfway finished, I would say, with the skirt. I just need to work on it. I'm pretty sure I have enough yarn to finish the skirt at least. So I'm working that on none of the recommended things for the pattern. I'm using Caron 1 pound in the midnight color, and I am using a US size H hook. I'm doing some modifying. No, I can't remember. I can't remember if I'm modifying or not at this point. I talked about it last week a little bit. I have decided that I will be following the chest, what is this called? Yoke instructions for the smallest size in the girls pattern. I wasn't sure if I was going to actually have to go down to the baby pattern to work the largest size in that for her, but the smallest girl size should be fine, even though she's like age-wise in the largest size category. She's just very, very thin but tall. That is all of the stuff I have for you. I have been talking about this on the vlogs, but it's worth mentioning here. I don't know what I want to cast on new project wise. I think I'm going to go into that more in depth in today's vlog. I don't know what I want to work on. There is not a May prompt in the ZK group yet, and I don't know if there's going to be, but I kind of don't want to start project planning until I know what it is. So that's kind of holding me up. And also, at the beginning of the year, I wrote out a list of things that I wanted to make this year, and I have completed probably 75% of my list, which is great, but that leaves me with like a very small um, pool of things that I want to accomplish this year. And so that means that the pool that I have left to pull from is um, more complex stuff. I knocked out all of the easy things because there was that sock knit along, and so I just did a ton of vanilla socks. But the things I have left are more complicated, or I need to actually follow a pattern, or I also have a whip list that came into the new year with me so I could work on those things. I don't know. I don't know what I want to work on. I only have one more pair of Christmas socks. No, I have two more pair of Christmas socks. So I'm probably going to cast one on because I am planning on doing them both vanilla or vanilla-ish anyway, so that I can take them to work with me. But other than that, my stuff isn't really vanilla knitting. Or something like this where it is kind of vanilla knitting. This is too big to carry around the lunchroom with me. It's too much. It would get in the way. It would get dirty. So yeah, I don't know what I want to start. I guess in the next week I will start a pair of socks. But maybe the prompt will be up, so maybe next week we'll have more varied things. I'm feeling not the ennui that I was feeling, but I'm not feeling particularly inspired to start anything new. And I'm not feeling particularly inspired to work on any of my old whips. I know that I want to be knitting. I just don't know what I want to be knitting on or crocheting. I don't know. Don't know. So we shall see. I might start a pair of cookie A socks so that I have something complicated to work on because everything that I'm working on right now is fairly simple, and I think having a chart would be nice. So that might be a thing. I'm not sure. Um, Next week will hopefully be a much more interesting episode than this week. And I will see you then. Bye.